Hello, good evening and welcome to ITV News. This is Monday night's calendar.
Yes, hello, good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
On her way, after a desperate plea and massive fundraising appeal, little Penelope gets the news which could well save her life.
Strangers, all the nice messages that we've received, it's been unbelievable. It's been more than we could have possibly ever even imagined.
Also tonight, mounting pressure on the Archbishop of York to stand down over his handling of a sexual abuse case.
Stephen Cottrell has significant questions hanging over him about how he did not deal, in my opinion, adequately with a safeguarding issue.
In sport, oh Danny boy, the Saints are calling. After another impressive win, the Owls boss is tipped for a move to Premier League Southampton.
We come out to help you when you dial 999. For burning tyres or a trip and fire, we'll be there in record time.
And what's hot in the music charts? We meet the Yorkshire Firefighters aiming for a Christmas #1. First tonight to the baby girl whose parents say has been saved after thousands of well-wishers supported her plea for help. You might remember on Friday we brought you the story of little Penelope Greathead, who was desperately ill in Leeds Children's Hospital and needing a new heart.
But the treatment she needed required a specialist bed and there was none available in the UK. In desperation, Penelope's parents began an online fundraiser to get her treatment abroad, and that hit its £120,000 target over the weekend.
Well, now that money will help support other youngsters after Penelope's parents heard she will get a bed at Great Ormond Street. Helen Steele has been following her story.
The moment Penelope's family had been praying would come. The 14-month-old was living on borrowed time after a cardiac arrest 3 weeks ago. The machine which surrounds her now, only a temporary solution to keep her heart going. Now she has a lifeline.
Yeah, we've had some amazing news that Great Ormond Street are able to take Penelope in and hopefully fit their Berlin heart by the end of the week.
The mechanical heart will keep her heart working until a heart donor is found. It also means she'll be able to interact with her family again.
Sometimes when her sedation isn't on point, she's putting her hands up to be picked up and, we can't pick her up right now.
Yeah. So being able to hold her.
Oh, it'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, just to have a little cuddle.
Yeah.
Be lovely, wouldn't it?
You've got pretty ribs.
It was last week that Holly and Jordan were told she needed the operation to save her life. But they were also told there were no beds available in the 2 hospitals which could provide the specialist care she needs. That prompted a fundraising drive to have the operation done abroad. They hit the £120,000 target over the weekend.
Everyone who, strangers, all the nice messages that we've received, it's been unbelievable. It's been more than we could have possibly ever even imagined.
Oh, thank you so much, Emily.
Staff in Leeds have supported as best they could, but NHS England says beds for children with similar heart conditions are in high demand. That's because heart donors are so hard to find. Holly and Jordan hope their story prompts more people to think about donating.
Nobody wants to think about, the worst case scenario of happening. However, it's something that should be in the back of people's minds, and to see the impact that, their relatives could have to make an amazing difference to people's lives.
Penelope safely on her way to London. Her parents will now donate the money raised to heart charities and plan to start their own. Helen Steele, ITV News in Leeds.
Yes, an incredible story, and what a difference just a few days actually makes. All the very best, of course, to Holly and Jordan. We'll let you know what happens with that story, and of course all the very, very best to little Penelope. Now then, next tonight are calls for the Archbishop of York to step down just weeks before he's due to take temporary charge of the Church of England over his handling of a sexual abuse case.
The pressure on Stephen Cottrell is mounting following reports that while he was Bishop of Chelmsford, he'd knowingly allowed a priest who'd been barred from being alone with children to remain in post.
Well, our reporter Amelia Beckett has been following this and joins us in the studio now. And Amelia, how's this come about?
Well, as you mentioned, this relates to a period over a decade ago when Stephen Cottrell was the Bishop of Chelmsford. Now, reports today suggest that during that time he knew that a priest called David Tudor had been barred by the church from being alone with children and had paid compensation to a sexual abuse victim, but he let him remain in post. Now, since those reports came out this morning, the Archbishop of York has responded to say he is deeply sorry that action could not be taken sooner, but that he acted immediately within the authority he had regarding the case. He said that it was not possible to remove the priest from office until fresh complaints were made against him in 2019. Now, he went on to say it is extremely disappointing that this story is being reported as if it was an abuser being ignored or even protected. Actually, nothing could be further from the truth, and to present it in this way only re-traumatises already hurt people. He added, the situation with David Tudor was an awful situation to live with and manage and has meant many people suffering as a result. But despite this, tonight the Bishop of Newcastle has told us that she believes that Stephen Cottrell could have done more.
Stephen Cottrell has significant questions hanging over him about how he did not deal, in my opinion, adequately with a safeguarding issue. So I think it completely undermines his credibility to say that he finds safeguarding as something that's urgent and important that we need to get right. I don't see how you can speak publicly on that and yet have been shown to have not acted in a way that would have been possible at the time.
Well, David Tudor was banned from ministry 2 months ago following a tribunal. But of course, all of this comes just a month after the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, resigned over a different abuse case. And while pressure has been mounting on Mr Cottrell today, it seems he's appeared to reject calls to resign over this case, saying he will do what he can to bring about independent scrutiny of safeguarding in the church. As things stand, he's set to take over as temporary leader of the Church of England in just 3 weeks' time.
Amelia Beckett, thank you.
You're watching Monday Night's Calendar with Ian White and Sally Simpson. Thanks for being with us.
Settle in, folks. This will take a few minutes.
Ready, Teddy, go! A rather unusual celebration at the Sheffield Steelers game this weekend. Find out why a little later.
And weren't the skies spectacular at sunset yesterday evening? I'll have more of your photos. And Finn's got his Christmas jumper on. But what about the weather in the outlook in the run up to the big day? All the detail a little later on.
Let's have a look at some more news from around the region now. We should warn you that you may find some of the images in the next story upsetting. Police have released footage of the moment a gunman opened fire on a Sheffield street on the day he was jailed for murder. Well, this video shows the moments before Kevin Pukuta was shot dead as he drove his car on Page Hall Road in what police say was a case of mistaken identity. The 19-year-old died in hospital the following day. Today, 23-year-old Jake Brown was jailed for 36 years for murder. 4 others were sentenced for a failed robbery linked to the shooting.
Next tonight, to the campaign of one Yorkshire woman to change the law on domestic violence to prevent offenders like her ex-husband leaving prison early through legal loopholes.
Elizabeth Hudson's bid to create a set of domestically aggravated offences is forming the basis of a new bill, which is now being tabled in Parliament. She first spoke out after learning that her former partner could qualify for early release under the government's emergency measures because of the way one of his convictions against her was classified. Lisa Adlam reports.
From her kitchen table at home in Yorkshire, Elizabeth Hudson has embarked on a mission which could offer hope and greater protection to domestic abuse survivors nationwide.
You contacted the Justice Secretary directly or the Ministry of Justice?
Before I was on this programme.
That's right.
It's a mission that has thrust her into the spotlight as she leads calls to change the law on domestic violence. And in doing so, close the loopholes which allowed her ex-husband Martin Underwood, jailed for an attack on her which left her fearing for her life, to be considered for early release from prison as part of the government's scheme to ease overcrowding.
It's about changing how we classify crimes that are domestic abuse crimes, because mind-blowingly at the minute there's no such thing legally as domestic abuse. There's lots and lots of different offences that are committed in domestic abuse settings, but they're not listed legally as domestic abuse, which is why there's this massive loophole in the law currently.
Abusers hiding behind convictions like ABH are being let out early.
Now the Liberal Democrat MP Josh Babarinde has tabled a bill to create a specific set of domestic abuse aggravated offences in law, which would help ensure those offenders remain behind bars.
You've got people who have been released or who are set to be released who are domestic abusers. That's not right. A reason for that is because there's no specific offence of domestic abuse, so we can't tell based on the offence who is and who isn't. Well, I'm saying let's make that easier. Let's introduce a new set of offences so that we can distinguish and protect and respect survivors.
Protecting and respecting survivors of domestic abuse was the theme of a day raising funds and awareness at a West Yorkshire tattoo shop today, offering special designs and donating their fees in support of Leeds Women's Aid.
It's just trying to do something nice for the local community, and they've been across the road and we go in there quite often and we've got to know them pretty well.
The message to all victim survivors is that we will believe you, we are here for you and will not judge you. So even if you just want some emotional support to speak to someone who understands what you're going through, our helpline is open 24 hours.
It's Elizabeth Hudson's aim, though, that survivors have more protection within the law, and she's determined to see it through.
You've sort of become a real figurehead for this campaign, which clearly is not something you would have ever wanted to be in that position, but you find yourself here. How has that been to be pushing to make such a change?
I'm not going to tell fibs. The last few months have been incredibly hard on me, on my family, but this is massively important. This isn't just affecting me. I've had messages from other victims. There are victims out there frightened that don't actually know whether their abuser is going to be released early. There are victims that have been told their abuser definitely is going to be released early. It's affecting lots and lots of people, and it's only right that we do something about it.
Now hoping to win cross-party support within Parliament, Elizabeth will meet the Justice Secretary next month to press her case once again. Lisa Adlam, ITV News.
And if you're looking for guidance on any of the issues raised in Lisa's report, then you can find more information on our website. That's itv.com/calendar.
A man has been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder after a woman in her 50s was hit by a car in a pub car park in Leeds. Police were called to the Cockbeck pub in Crossgates earlier this month. Asa Tui, who's 26 and of Langbar Green in Swarcliffe, has been charged with attempted murder of the woman and a man in his 40s. He's also been charged with various driving offences, including driving while disqualified.
An alleged Chinese spy has been named as Yang Tengbo, a former University of York student. The businessman had been in the UK for almost 2 decades and was a co-founder of Prince Andrew's Pitch at the Palace initiative. He's been named after he was banned from re-entering the UK on national security grounds. In a statement, he says he has done nothing wrong or unlawful.
Doctors in our region are being advised to prescribe a new type of inhaler for those living with asthma. Currently, a brown preventer and a blue reliever inhaler are issued to people who have the condition.
But now, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence has decided that a new combination inhaler, combining both the brown and blue inhalers in one device, can provide more effective treatment while also being more eco-friendly.
In the long term, it's believed people will be in better control of their asthma, potentially saving the NHS money as well. Chris Conway reports.
For Eddie from Leeds, this inhaler has proved vital in relieving his asthma symptoms, which at times can leave him short of breath.
At the moment, I'm using it 2 or 3 times a day. Just with the cold weather in winter, I usually use it a lot more than in summer. So first thing in the morning, before I exercise, and then occasionally before I go to bed.
After being prescribed to millions of people living with asthma, GPs are now being advised to ditch blue reliever inhalers and instead offer low-dose combination ones, which look like this. Respiratory experts believe the switch will help reduce the frequency of severe asthma attacks.
These are very safe to take long term. There's very few side effects. What I would say is there is an amount of technique needed to use to take them properly. So this is a placebo of the combination inhalers. Where it's different, it's actually dry powder inhaler. So what you need to do is you just turn it to activate the inhaler, then you take a big breath in to inhale the inhaler, and that's your dose given.
It's hoped the switch away from the old style of inhalers will have a positive impact on the environment. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence says that inhalers that use gas to propel the medicine into the lungs are contributing to climate change. This inhaler, over the course of its life, will produce the same amount of CO2 as a 33-mile petrol car journey. Some older inhalers produce more CO2 over the course of their lives than a 75-mile petrol car journey. Research that NICE says shows why the change is necessary. Experts say the move should also help the NHS save money in the long run, with asthma symptoms better managed. Asthma patients are being encouraged to stick with the treatment they feel works best for them and are not being forced to make the switch. Those behind the introduction of the new eco-friendly combination inhalers hope they can help people living with asthma breathe a little easier. Chris Conway, ITV News.
Sounds like a good plan. Now then, time for some sport, and Sheffield Wednesday fans sweat on the future of their manager.
Xero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And Chris is with us in the studio. Chris, Danny Roll, the favourite to become Southampton's new manager with the bookies. Why would they want to steal Sheffield Wednesday's man away?
Not very Christmassy, is it? They're stealing managers, a bit Grinchy.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, little wonder why the Saints want Danny Roll, because he's worked wonders since he arrived at Sheffield Wednesday. He was also assistant at Saints a couple of years back. But yeah, he kept them up last season. He's got them into 9th position in the Championship, this on a very limited budget as well. On Saturday, he further enhanced his reputation with a 3-1 comeback win at Oxford. It was Josh Windass who scored Wednesday's equaliser with his 6th goal of the season before second half strikes from first Jamal Lowe and then a great effort from outside the box by Jedi Gassama. It's hoped results like this convince Danny Roll his future lies in South Yorkshire rather than on the south coast. Meanwhile, the long-running takeover saga across the city at Sheffield United appears to be reaching its conclusion. The Blades are 3 points clear at the top of the Championship after Saturday's 2-0 win over Plymouth, and reports suggest the takeover by an American consortium could be completed this week. Now, Leeds are behind the Blades in second spot, but they had to rely on a 92nd minute own goal to rescue them a point from their trip to Preston. Dropping down into League One, and Huddersfield were staring at a first league defeat since the 1st of October. Sheffield Wednesday loanee Bailey Cadamartri had Lincoln 2-0 up before Brodie Spencer halved the deficit early in the second half. And then with a minute of normal time to go, Callum Marshall equalised to send the home crowd wild. Elsewhere, Barnsley came from behind to win at Exeter. Nigerian Kelechi Enwakali scored his first Barnsley goal on his first league start to equalise before a more familiar scorer, Davis Keeler-Dunn, volleyed in the winner. It seems Rotherham might finally be starting to find their groove under Steve Evans. It's now back-to-back league wins after a couple of goals from Johnson Clark-Harris. I think he likes that corner. And a first Miller's goal from Andre Green gave them a 3-0 win over Northampton. And a goalless draw isn't usually something to celebrate, but when you've lost your last 5 league games like Mansfield have, then this result at Charlton came as welcome relief. OK, just the 2 winners for us in League 2. Chesterfield are up to 6th after a 2-0 win at Carlisle. Dylan Marcandy got the first before that man Will Grigg scored his 10th of the season. And Callum Kavanagh showed good perseverance to score at the second attempt to give Bradford a 1-0 win over Swindon at Valley Parade. Elsewhere in sport this weekend, Doncaster boxer Maxie Hughes has been promised a bumper fight by promoter Eddie Hearn after coming through his latest challenge. The 34-year-old former IBO World Lightweight Champion outpointed Ireland's Gary Cully on Saturday night in Monte Carlo, setting up potentially another shot at a world title in 2025. Meanwhile, it's been confirmed that Sheffield's unbeaten super lightweight Dalton Smith will step back into the ring early next year. He'll face Walid Uiza in Nottingham on January the 25th. And finally from me, it wasn't a great weekend for the Sheffield Steelers on the ice. They lost both their Elite Ice Hockey League matches.
2-on-1 developing here. Levens!
There you go,
ready,
Jonathan.
steady, Teddy!
What a line. But as is tradition on this weekend every year, after the Steelers' first goal against Glasgow on Saturday, an avalanche of soft toys were thrown onto the ice by fans. The 2,500 teddies will be sent to local hospitals and charities this Christmas. My youngest daughter would love them. She's a teddy enthusiast. She loves all things cuddly toys.
Oh, does she? I think it goes to more deserving causes
I think
than your
you're probably
daughter,
right,
Chris.
Sally.
But, who doesn't love a teddy?
Who doesn't?
Thanks very much, Chris.
You're welcome.
Ready, steady, Teddy. Love it. The ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Charlene White.
Coming up, the alleged Chinese spy with links to Prince Andrew is named as Yang Tengbo, as the Prime Minister says he's concerned about the challenge that China poses. The name isn't changing, but will a foreign owner be enough to shake up the Royal Mail? Huge price rises due to a cocoa bean shortage means chocolate could become a luxury item again. And the D-Day veteran receiving hundreds of birthday cards as a surprise ahead of his 100th birthday. Join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Thanks, Charlene. Well, they're used to putting out flames, not music, but one of our region's fire services is trying to be the first ever to secure a Christmas #1.
Yes, South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service have recruited local music legend Big Sean to front a new spin on a classic, all to raise money for mental health support for firefighters. We send Ben Basin along to find out more.
Well, welcome to the headquarters of South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue, where they're swapping blue lights for disco lights this Christmas with a bid for Christmas #1. The song is a new take on the safety dance, of course made famous by Men Without Hats in the 80s. The new version is Fire Safety Dance. See what they've done there. Let's have a listen.
We look after your safety, we'll fit your smoke alarm. Night and day we'll be on our way to keep you safe from harm. And we look out for each other, cause sometimes it gets rough. Things we see nobody should see, now and then it gets too much.
Well, I'm pleased to say I'm now joined by Sean, who you saw there, of course, formerly of the Everly Pregnant Brothers, now frontman of Big Sean and the Steel People.
Yes.
Sean, tell us first of all, how did this idea come about?
Well, obviously, 8 years ago we did the single with the Everly Pregnant Brothers when we did Chip Pans on Fire. And then last year, Alfie contacted me and asked, would I be interested in doing it again? I chose the track because it's a favourite track of mine anyway, and I love the original, and it just seemed to tie in. I thought fire safety dance, and that seemed like, yeah. And the lyrics were easy to write, and there's an important message behind it, but it's fun. It's a fun track that hopefully will make people smile and make people have a little bit of a dance.
It is all in aid of the Firefighters charity, a really good cause.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously for me, it's no secret that I've had my issues with mental health over the years. And I'm open about it because I'm an advocate for people talking about it and not being afraid to.
Well, good luck with it, Sean. Thank you very much for talking to us. Well, if they do get Christmas #1, they'll be the first fire service in history to get that coveted spot. Let's speak to Deputy Chief Fire Officer Andy. Andy, first of all, you were involved in the video, weren't you? How was that?
Yeah, exciting, really good. I'm not the greatest dancer, not technically gifted, but I were able to get through it. Really enjoyed it. So my ask is to everybody out there is get on board, have a go at the dance. And today I'm announcing that we'll be judging the best dancer, and I'm going to dig in my own pocket and give a cash prize to somebody that's got the best dancer, under 16s, anybody, no matter what ability.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, all eyes will be on the charts then in the next couple of weeks. They have got some stiff competition, of course, from local band Reverend and the Makers, no less. They'll find out if it's got to the top spot on Friday the 20th of December.
I tell you what, it's a good job the fire alarm didn't go off in the middle of that, isn't it?
Well, you were busy dancing away. I don't think you'd have ignored it anyway.
No, I'm in there at the fire station to call them out.
Oh, I see.
That teddy bear turning up, or whatever it was.
Or whatever. That was Ben Basin anyway, and Kerry is with us now.
Hiya.
Nice pictures over the weekend coming in.
Oh, some really lovely ones. Last night was a fantastic sunset, but I want to show you this beforehand. It looks like the moon. There was a full moon at the weekend, but it was actually the sun through some very low, thin cloud, giving some beautiful crepuscular rays, some little sunbeams there. A big thank you to Marvin Carter, who took the shot at Ilkley. But yeah, last night was amazing. Did either of you two see it?
Oh, it was stunning.
My goodness. Yeah. It was a gobsmacker. Marmalade skies. Nick Fletcher called them, absolutely gorgeous. So we had basically cloud at different levels, creating extra texture. And I don't think I need to tell you that it was very windy last night and first thing this morning, which basically gave undulating clouds as well as what we'd call altocumulus, so mid-level, fluffy clouds. And then they're basically giving a wave, not really, almost like a wave, like
a hillside, I thought.
Like a hillside, Sally, yeah. So keep them coming. Goodness knows what the skies will bring over the next few days. Weather photos at ITV.com. You're going to ask me, aren't you?
Is it going to be a white Christmas, Kerry?
Oh, well, it's looking mild at the moment. It is cold in between, but we've got to get there yet. Wednesday, I just want to highlight, there's some little kinks in the isobars. I think we'll see some very strong winds down the eastern slopes of the Pennines, and I'm keeping my eye on this area of low pressure by the end of Wednesday. But of course, we've got to get there. Here's your forecast.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, with just over a week to go. A mild end to the weekend yesterday, but that fantastic sunset. And a mild start this morning, but that beautiful sunrise for many. Disappointing in terms of cloud amounts in general during the course of today, but most of us staying dry, just drizzly bits coming onto the Pennines. Our first frontal system pushing in from the southwest, missing most parts of the region, but there's another one as we head through into the latter part of tomorrow. So overnight tonight, we've got patchy cloud, clear spells, again some moisture, particularly over the Dales, misty and murky here. For most of us, it's dry. The winds are certainly lighter compared to last night, and the temperatures are up for towns and cities, but under any clearer skies, maybe a 4 or 5 Celsius as we head into dawn. There is sometimes as we head into tomorrow, 8:20 and 3:45. Tomorrow morning, a cloudy start, but a mostly dry start. Cloud will come and go during the morning, slight chance of a shower again, most likely in the west. But for most of daylight hours, we stay dry, maybe even a bit of brightness as we head into the afternoon. We're still on the mild side of average, but the winds start to gather strength. It becomes quite gusty. And then the showers do approach from the west as we head through the evening and overnight period. Some of them could form in bands to longer spells of rain, misty and murky over higher ground. And then as we head into Wednesday, another mild day importing that southwesterly 13 or 14 Celsius. And then we keep our eye on this system. I think certainly into the afternoon, evening, there's the risk of some heavy and fairly continuous rain for a time, and then all change, especially into Thursday. Northwesterly, drier, brighter, breezy, but definitely feeling colder.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Now, Kerry, you did promise you were going to get festive this week. Have you got your baubles on?
I promised you I would come baubles and all this week. I'm in the Christmas mood.
I'm pleased to hear it.
How can we not? The yarn bombers and our Christmas tree in the studio.
Very festive. Kerry,
Very
thanks very
nice,
much.
very
and
nice.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, I'll see you for our late news at 20 to 11. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.